Welcome to Two Feet Told Podcast. My name is Erica and this is Brandy.
What is good, guys?
If you're joining us for the first time, our podcast is focused on providing the underserved and underprivileged communities, particularly communities of color, with the information and tools to help improve their dental health care experience. So this is an exciting episode. This is one, drum roll please. I've been waiting for this episode since we started the podcast back in November of 2024. 2023, sorry, it's 2024 now.
Yeah.
This is about oral sex. Okay, guys. I kept saying, Brandy, I think we need to talk about this. We need to come right out the gate with this. This is going to be exciting. This will draw people in, you know? Absolutely right. Anybody who is indulging in sexual activities, you should definitely know about these things, right?
Absolutely.
So first things first, Brand, and I'm going to use all of the proper terms. I'm not going to say anything vulgar or anything crass. Yeah, I'm going to be totally tasteful because this is like, you always say all the proper technical terms. So we're going to start off with cunnilingus, okay? It's oral vaginal contact, okay? That's all we're going to say. So, if you have something, and this goes for all of it, cunnilingus, fellatio, which is oral penile contact, or analingus, which is oral anal contact. If you have anything going on down in those places, right? Can someone catch that from doing this with their mouth?
So the short answer is yes.
Okay.
Short answer. So absolutely. Bacteria, STDs, or now recently they're calling them STIs. Yes, you can transfer those things to and from each other via the oral sex route, whether it is cunnilingus, analingus, or fellatio. Yes, Erica.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, like, all right, analingus. Say you didn't wipe yourself too good, right? You can't get, like, you know how you touch feces and you touch your eye, you get pink eye. You're not going to get that. Can you get that in your mouth? Something like that?
Through that particular route. So the analingus, there are different STDs and STIs that you can get from performing different types of oral sex. So for this particular type of oral sex, the analingus that Erica's talking about, I am going to refer you guys to a website. It's called the National Library of Medicine. So I pulled up an article here so that you can look at, because this is really cool tables that show you exactly what type of STD or STI that you can get from performing a certain type of oral sex. So Erica, for instance, on table 1 of this thing, because I sent it to you too, right? If you go down to where it says hepatitis A and E, those types of hepatitis can be spread through analingus. So to answer your question, Erica, yes, absolutely. You can spread that through the anal route. Just as if you were, you know how you have hepatitis A is like really prevalent in restaurants and stuff. Like whenever you hear about hepatitis outbreaks in restaurants, it's usually hepatitis A because it's spread through the fecal matter. People are not washing their hands after they go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing you can get from having oral sex in the anal route in that area. So those types, there's other STDs and STIs, but those are specific to analingus, hepatitis A and E. And once again, you guys can look at this table. It's a unfortunately long list of things, but it's on the National Library of Medicine's website. And you can probably just type in oral sex and oral healthcare. That's what I did because I wanted to get the numbers and get some actual.
It is a long list.
It's a long, trifling list. That's the only way I can put it because y'all get okay. So yeah, Erica. So yes, you can from that question.
So like you have a yeast infection. I don't know if is there another term for that, but I'm pretty sure it is. But you got a yeast infection, and then someone, they, him, he, her, she, they go down and perform cunnilingus on you, and is that because that's not a sexually transmitted disease, so that's not here on the list. But
Right. So okay, so a yeast infection is a bacterial infection,
right,
but absolutely you can transfer to the mouth because inside your mouth it's called thrush. It is not called a yeast infection, but it's the same bacteria
that's
that
the
causes
white
yeast
on your
infection.
tongue.
Yes, so a lot of times babies will get thrush because they're sucking on bottles and the milk is just kind of sitting there. So you'll see a lot of babies have it, but adults get it too. We have some adults that come in and that have it. So yes, you can spread a bacterial infection as well from cunnilingus in particular because you're talking about a yeast infection. So yes, there's over 600 bacterial species, um, of which of more 150 of those species are present during can be present during sex and oral sex in particular. So those bacteria, just the bacterial things, I'm not talking about any of these viral STDs or STIs. Those things can be passed back and forth, as well as the viral thing. Look, human papillomavirus, or HIV. Those things are spread through all of the oral routes. So if you're analingus, cunnilingus, fellatio, those types of things are spread through all of those routes.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at this table, it tells you the method. So for instance, most of these are all, looks like, right, Erica, they're really all modes of oral sex for the most part, except for hepatitis A and E, which is just through the analingus route. And then also intestinal parasites as well can be spread through analingus. So if people have intestinal parasites and that's the mode or route of oral sex you are doing, you can also get those parasites as well. And just so you know, that's very people have those kinds of parasites and you can transfer
What have you seen? What have you seen at the at work when it comes to that?
So
That's what I need to know.
okay, so of course, so we've seen thrush, that's very common. People have what's called petechiae that you get on the roof of your mouth. The petechiae are present um, in the roof of the mouth from trauma. So we're going to say they're from trauma. So typically, from the fellatio perspective, if somebody comes in and look in their mouth, I can tell if they've had fellatio, or as a dental license holder in the state of Pennsylvania, I've been trained to be able to tell um, child abuse, certain types of sexual child abuse in children from looking in the mouth. And that's one of the things we look for if we suspect any kind of abuse, is if a child has petechiae, which are little bruises, pinpoint bruises in the roof of the mouth from forced oral sex, particularly fellatio. So those kinds of things you see. And then everything else I'm pretty much asked about. So those are the two things that I can see orally inside the mouth, unless I see lesions in the mouth that are consistent with um, HPV or HIV. We're trained to be able to tell if those type of lesions exist inside of the mouth. So you can see those things as well. So, of course, herpes, which is transferred through fellatio, cunnilingus, or analingus. So, all the roots, of course, we can see that. We typically, when patients have um, herpes simplex 1, is when you have herpes on the oral root. Herpes simplex 2 is the vaginal, anal, or penile areas. So, but we can tell, usually we don't work on patients who have active herpetic lesions. They have to come back after they're crusted over and whatever, because it's very contagious. Um, but those are some of the things. But I think it's cool because, Erica, this table also tells you what kind of presenting features you would have if you had some of these things transferred through oral sex. So, like you just asked me, what kind of things do you see? This table will tell you what kind of things you would see. So, like, for instance, if you go down to gonorrhea, you typically get gonorrhea through fellatio, and you may notice that you have a sore throat soon after, a burning sensation. A man would have the discharge from the penis. And then it just tells you some of the oral manifestations as well as other manifestations that you would have of these diseases. Yes. So sexually transmitted infection is STI, sexually transmitted disease is STD. I think they're phasing out STD, right? I think they're saying STI more so now. I hear a lot of, so they're used interchangeably in this article. And I also want to note that the article also gives modes for prevention. Participating in these types of practices, what can you do to, stop the spread of disease? So you guys have probably heard about all these things, but they talk about using plastic wrap if you are giving analingus or cunnilingus, using a condom if you are performing fellatio. But also they talk about using dental dams, which is like a piece of latex that we use in dentistry.
I mean, people make fun of this stuff, but like it's really helpful.
No, seriously, like it is. Like people don't know. I mean, and people may not want to do this, but the point of the matter is you need to know the information. I mean, point blank, you should know these things. So the dental dam is good, condoms, latex barriers. But, the article is very thorough. It talks about, how you can prevent, and it actually breaks down what each mode of oral sex is in case you're unfamiliar. I'm going to let y'all do that with the article. I'm just, I think Erica broke it down enough for us in the beginning.
Yeah, because that's why I just want to know, like, what happens and stuff like that. This is like I just definitely wanted to talk about this. Like, and then that's so interesting about the kids and stuff like that.
And these things too can be spread through cuts. Like if you have cuts in your mouth or, lesions or, thing like that. Because I was just, I forgot to mention that. So you want to limit. They're saying to limit those sexual fluids from getting to cuts and lesions present in the mouth or in genitals. Of course, you want to make sure your oral health is good. That's just a really kind of quick overview because the article is really good. Like if you read through it and look at just the tables alone are interesting.
It is.
Yeah, like because it tells you exactly how the stuff is passed. So it's pretty good. You guys can check it out. Let me just look at it. So once again, it's the National Library of Medicine, the National Center for Biotechnology Information. You can go to the website. All you have to do is really type in oral sex and oral health, and it'll pop up.
Gives you all the information that you need.
Yeah. And Erica, if you don't have any more questions, then I think
that was my only main question. Like, do you get certain things from doing it? And clearly, I mean, some of them I knew, self-explanatory.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, it makes sense, that you.
But I think also too, Erica, the oral. So, okay, we know that you can spread the different diseases and infections, but also if you have periodontal disease or decay inside your mouth, if you had, so all of, just like we said, the yeast infection, thrush, all of that can be passed. So if you have thrush in your mouth, you can pass that to somebody through cunnilingus. If you have periodontal disease, those bacteria that are extremely aggressive, those bacteria can be transferred to, through cunnilingus, through analingus, through fellatio, all of those things. So any type of bacteria you have in your mouth, of course, I mean, there are fluids exchanged. So you have to expect that something will be. So bottom line is just be in good health. People ask me, like literally, I don't know what y'all do at the dentist, but I've been doing this a long time. And people ask these kind of questions. Like I have patients who ask these kind of questions and it's okay. It's nothing wrong with it.
I never asked these questions at the dentist. Not at the dentist. But I mean, it makes sense, but I just never have.
It feels weird. You know what I'm saying? It feels weird. But some people aren't weirded out. Some people feel comfortable with you and they're like, listen, I always wanted to know this. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, absolutely. So these are legitimate questions to ask. So don't feel bad if you really had a question, just ask it. I mean, we've heard, when I tell you we've heard and seen everything, I promise you, nothing is surprising. So, it's better to know than to not know.
Guys, if you have any questions, always send an email, go into our website, and Brandy will answer it for you. If you have more stuff you want to ask, and you might not want to ask your dentist because then they'd be like, well, what you getting into?
Yeah.
Normal stuff, but normal for
Yeah, but
some.
I want my dentist to
Uh,
know.
yeah, but you might not want your dentist to know. So,
Yeah.
it's the Hippocratic oath though. Like they gotta follow that. Everybody's gotta follow that, right? Don't you gotta follow that?
So we do have to follow it too. Yes.
Yeah. So,
Nobody's gonna tell your business. I mean, we
yeah.
might talk about y'all behind your back after y'all leave, but
I'm
you
sure. I'm
we
sure.
stay doing that.
I'm sure you do. All right,
But look,
guys. Thank you for
that's
tuning
life.
in to another awesome episode of Two Feet Soul Podcast. Check us out on our website, has all of our socials, and tune in next time.
All right, you guys take care.
All right. Bye bye.